Welcome. New episode, guys. We're back. We have 3 shows to run through this episode. GFC 44 and 45, both regular cards on SportsTube. And then the last show, the episode, will be Goshen making his first title defence on a high-level national main event draw on Eurosports cable. So I'm hoping, because it's high-level national, we'll take about... I don't want to go above and beyond, but I'm hoping round about 500,000. Because on the last card we used, Eurosports cable, that was a title fight, we took, I think it was about 440k or something, which was way more than I was expecting. So I'm hoping for more of the same, to be honest. Both of these regular cards should take us, hopefully, the 1.5% popularity increase. And it should be happy days. But to start us off, we have a number one contender between unbeaten Anisa and Sapatov, which the winner of this will fight for the next welterweight title shot against Jim Carpenter, who's already made one successful defense as well. Now, I would prefer Anasina to win, just because he's younger. You can kind of mark him a bit better. But also, Sapatov's actually really good. He has lost his debut fight. He lost to Jim Carpenter, who's now the title holder. So in terms of history and the storyline of their journeys, it would be cool to have them fight again, and it'd be for the title. But Sapatov is really good, so it's even more impressive that Jim beat him, to be honest, because he's absolutely whitewashed every single other person he's fought. Even the ones that went to decision, it was pretty one-sided fights. He is a bit of a boring fighter, though, I came to realise from last save. But we'll see. I'm not really too fussed who wins, but if I had to pick a favourite, it would be Anasina. We also got Kenji Toma, who I believe lost his last fight after getting back to winning ways, and he's up against Elgar, so he's not really been handed a nice draw, because Elgar will 100% want to bounce back after losing a surprise freak loss to Thierry, already his second fight of the year too. Terence Bushman against Rudolph. This is really just to try and get Bushman back to winning ways after he lost to Mac Fuller, who, by the way, Mac Fuller's 6-0, which is pretty crazy that he's 6-0, and I think he's only 9th on the rankings of our weight classes. Stafford Dial as well, back in action, back on winning ways after losing to Jeff, hopefully. Same with Gasper Comatois, who makes his debut today. He's another guy I was talking about last episode about Canada. He starts at low-level national, Canadian values, a world-caliber Muay Thai fighter. But even though these guys look really good, they can never string together multiple wins in a row. But hopefully he wins his debut against Gasper. And then we got Popik back, who's 1-2. Hopefully he can win too. And then the rest of the cards, we don't really care too much about it. Even the Dan Halverson fight, he's too old and we can't really push him well. We don't care about the last 4, to be honest. Okay, the card went pretty much as we wanted. We had a nice amount of call-outs too, as our attendance just keeps going up and up. We're almost breaking the 2,000 attendance barrier, which will take us around 200k just in gate receipts alone, which is really good. 69%, so just shy of high-level national. Sapatov wins the main event, which means he'll be up against Jim Carpenter in their rematch next. And he also recalled out Jim Carpenter, saying that fighting him would be an interesting bout. So it's kind of crazy that the third ever rematch of our save, and it's going to be a title fight, and it makes it almost more special, the fact that they both fought each other pretty much on their debuts. I don't think it was Sapatov's debut though, but it's kind of crazy. All that time, 2 years ago, and now they meet again, but it's for the title, and one of them actually has the belt. So Sapatov's only ever career losses against Jim, and he's going to be fighting him again after amassing about 5 wins in a row, I believe. Elgar also won. He won by decision, but he absolutely destroyed Kenji Toma. I don't think Kenji Toma even landed any significant punches or any takedowns, nothing. Elgar was not messing around, let's put it that way, on the battle metrics, as it said. Terence Bushman also won. So Sapatov recalled out Jim Carpenter. Was it Elgar? Did he? No, he didn't. He's got call-outs there, but he didn't. I believe it was Bushman. It was a great rated second round knockout against Fitzer to get him back on winning ways. Yeah, and he recalled out Bingwen Park, because they're now nuclear, that would be a really good fight in terms of draw, because Bingwen Park, for whatever reason, I think it's because he's had so many fights too, he always holds a really good draw, And he's one of those guys that even when he loses, he doesn't really move down on the rankings. It's just one of those, the guys that he's like glue. He just sticks near the top 5. He's always in the title scene. So that would be a very good middleweight fight, especially for Bushman. But he's still probably going to be unranked after this fight, but it's something I'll look to do for sure. Jin loses to Stafford, which means he gets cut. Easy bounce back win for Stafford. Gasper Comtois gets a good rated TKO strike finish on his debut. Popik also wins, which is nice. And then we also had the likes of Connor Stith win, great rated fight. If he lost, he would have lost his job. So that was a huge win for him. Dan Halverson, the 35-year-old, still winning, even though he's getting on in age. And the other guys, I don't think anyone else got cut. And I think there was maybe 1 or 2 call-outs between these guys, but it was like, I think Morel, for example, he won and then called out Fezzik. Or he recalled out Fezzik. It's stuff that's not really worth mentioning, guys, because it's just, the chances of it happening is so slim, because Fezzik will be the champ or around the top 3, top 4 in heavyweight, and Morel Sarton probably won't even dent into the top 10, top 15, so it's just, if it's very unlikely, there's no point in me mentioning it, basically, is what I'm saying. But let's go on to show 45 before we get into the title fight. Okay, never mind. I don't know why, but I had a missed lapse in judgment and cut the recording before showing the rest. We get 0.1 of an increase in popularity, which is nice. I was expecting around 1.5 on SportsTube, so I'll take the 0.1 in advance. KO will give to... It's saying Zapato, but there's no way. It's going to either Bushman or Al. Let's give it to Bushman, because why not? And fight of the night can go to Al instead then. Or can it? Yeah. And we'll give submission to the only great submission fight there for Camo. He beat Jonathan Mellon. And money-wise, we take 135k on SportsTube. It's pretty much just relying on our Wait, was this on SportsTube? It must have been. I feel like we get more money than that usually on SportsTube. Maybe not. But Bushman takes bang on 20k. Kenji Toma lost to Elgar, so he only takes 9. New boy Gasper takes away 6k. Popik on 6 as well. Then they're quite a lot of money. You're 63k to the fighters, but we're making almost 200k in gate receipts now, so it's perfect. When we run these SportsTube shows with really high name valued fighters on them, we can still most likely take money every single show. Right, here we go. Big weekend actually on the universe right now. We got a fight on the last Friday of May, and then we got a fight the next night after on the Saturday, which is the title fight with Gorshin. But to start us off, also quickly to mention, because I totally forgot last show, is Gasper Comtois, who won his debut. He actually called out Yamashita, who's fighting main event at this card, which I totally forgot to mention, but it's actually a really good call out, because in terms of quality, those are 2 guys that will be sitting around the same spot in the rankings, so when that hits nuclear, it'll definitely be something to book. And the reason this is main event is these 2 guys actually called each other out. It's not quite nuclear, it's actually not really close at all, but it still gave us pretty big name value, and I believe at the time I was stretched for booking a good main event. And Mario's not long coming off his rematch win against Nigel Malley, so it seemed fitting to have him finally fight someone who he called out, rather than someone who called him out, which was Nigel Malley. No, sorry, no. Well, someone who beat him, sorry. Like, I guess, Jesus Christ, what am I talking about? I'm losing my mind. But 5-2. I believe Yamashita's still unbeaten. He's kind of surprised me by going 4 wins in a row. More noticeably, he beat world rank number 3 Bing Wen Park on his last fight, which pushes him up to 7. So if he can now beat Mario, who I believe is sitting just behind him on the rankings, yeah, but he's also one of the best middleweights in the world. This would be huge, because it'll also put him to 5 fights, which will put him in the rankings if he can win, but I think he's probably underdog for this fight. We've got a pretty easy comeback fight for Jeff Carlton too. He of course beat Stafford Dahl after losing, so he's maybe 1 or 2 more wins away from getting a rematch, or a second go, you could say, at the heavyweight belt. We also got Jerizo, who is 5-1, only losing to Rob Baines, who was the first middleweight champ, and he's up against Mac Fuller. Now, Mac has been booked kind of smart. He did beat the likes of Nigel Malley, who it could have gone against him, honestly. Otto Cascudo's not the worst, in Terence Bushman on his last fight, who puts him up to 6 in the world. And if he manages to beat Jerizo, I don't see why it doesn't push him even further. He's finally in the top 5. He could honestly be Matthew Dean's next opponent if he keeps up this sort of momentum, but Jericho is definitely his hardest fight to date. Kitahara, who of course suffered his first loss of his career against Sapatov, who will now fight for the welterweight belt. So it doesn't look too bad when you look at it like that. And he's up against Perishira, who's on a bit of a losing streak. He really needs a win, and Kitahara is probably not the kindest opponent to give him to get him back on winning ways. Then we got Milne, 4-2. He's up against Tropham, who's 2-0, still unbeaten in GFC. Where did he lose? Was it Sigma? Yeah, god damn it. Sigma are still booked in a bunch of our fighters, by the way. They done it again. A bunch of fights that I would have booked too, so it's kind of getting annoying, but probably next month, by the end of next month, I'll be able to renegotiate with most of them and get them back, so that's not going to happen anymore. But as for the first few fights on the card, we don't really care too much about them. The Christopher Sharp fight we do, he's 2-0. He's someone that will really push up in heavyweight. But the first 3, yeah, we don't care. Oh, also Morozov, I forgot about him. 2-1. Hopefully he can win, actually. Up against Balin, who's also 2-1, but he's only high-level judo. Moroz hopefully gets the job done. Okay, this might take a second. We had 1 or 2 upsets, and I think almost every single fighter called someone out. Usually I would remember, because it'd only be 2 or 3, but oh my god, there was quite a lot. We had Amida. He beat Polivanov, which I believe was a huge upset, and so was De Castro beating Cascone, but no one gets cut. No one had that bad a record. Morozov also lost to Balin, and Balin in the meantime with that, he called out Elgar, which would be a pretty interesting fight, because Elgar's slowly coming down the rankings a little bit with his loss. He's not that high up anymore, and this one will take Balin into the top 10 probably. Tropham actually beat Harry Milne, which is a very good win for Tropham, and he also stays unbeaten in GFC. I don't think he called anyone out, did he? Oh, he did, Fatuma Roy. That was this show, which was a very good call out too. That would be a good fight. Perishira then beat Kitahara to give Kitahara back-to-back losses, and he recalled out Ricardo, who he'd already called out. It also gets Perishira back on winning ways, which is good. Jerizo actually lost to Mac Fuller, and Mac Fuller recalled out Rob Baines. No, he didn't. He called him out. Okay. So he called out Rob Baines. It would have been more ideal if he called out Matthew Dean the champ, but he didn't. But huge win. He's the only guy, I think, ever to go so many fights and win so many, but not get a title shot. Usually guys are getting title shots around 5-0, maybe 6-0, but he's 7-0, which is just kind of mad that he beat Jerizo, and in his last fight, he beat Terence Bushman. It's going up for him. He's at least one more fight. I don't know if we'll book him up against Rob Baines to then have him fight for the belt, because he kind of deserves it almost. Like, I kind of want to give it to him now, but the rankings might make it a bit unrealistic, but so my credibility and stuff will take a strike, and he's going to lose to Matthew Dean, but it doesn't matter. Like, we can't just not give him a title shot because we know he's going to lose. It's not really how it works. So I kind of would rather have him fight Matthew Dean first before we go nuclear fight against Rob Baines, because Rob Baines will be sitting in the top 5 middleweight for another 2, 3, 4 years anyway, so Matt Fuller's got time to fight him. So it'll probably be a Matthew Dean versus Fuller GFC 50, honestly, I think, as well as the welterweight belt with Sapatov and Jim Carpenter. That'll probably be on that card too, honestly. But Jeff Carlton picks up another successful win, pretty easy. 3rd round great finish, but he was dominating it to keep the momentum going, to move him up to 7-1. And then the main event, Mario De Souza hands Yamashita the first loss of his career, and he calls out Mac Fuller, who just won, which was pretty interesting. So Mac could have a nuclear with Rob Baines and Mario, which is it's looking good. The middleweight's got some nice call-outs, some nice fights lined up as well. And that's not even putting into consideration the fact the champion's Matthew Dean. You take him out of the equation, there's still so many like good fights that's going on. It's really good. But we take 200k at the gate. We just get shy of mid-level national, but we should take about 1.5 pop on SportsTube. 1.6 again, nice. I think it's maybe going up because of our pop and not so much the commercial rating, because more people are attending the shows. It's like reaching the threshold to go up 0.1 of a percentage maybe. But yeah, Jeff Carlton can take submission. We had quite a lot of great fights though. Or did we give it to Perry? Give it to Perry, because Perry should have beaten Kitahara is a way more notorious win, you could say, than Carlton beating Abdullah, to be honest. So he can take submission, but since we're giving him submission, we'll give fight of the night. Let's give it to I was kind of going to give it to one of the underdogs there, but their fights weren't actually that good, so we'll give it to, let's give it to Mac Fuller, fight of the night, because beating Jericho is no easy feat at his level, and KO can go to Christopher Sharp, since it was one of the only greats. Even though it's a TKO, it's not technically a knockout really, but there wasn't any pure knockouts on the show, so I don't feel that bad about it. So, okay, we take 180k. We only pay 28k to fighters. I don't think it's been that low in a long time. Wow. Mario takes the most. I believe he's taking that much though, because I think he's on an exclusive contract now. We're slowly but surely getting all our guys on exclusives, but just not like, I'm not doing it all in one basically is what I'm saying, because when I do exclusive deals I also give them base pay, like the base pay goes up with every win, which is something I've never actually done before, which sounds very cheap, and I'm very tight with money, but to make the game a bit more realistic I've started doing it, so when people get exclusive deals the 2.5% base pay is included, but for standard deals it's not, and most of my guys are still on standard deals. I think maybe 10 guys have exclusive, and most of them is people that Sigma had before. But next month, at the end of next month, I should be able to renegotiate with all my guys who are with Sigma. And then this show, I think Sigma have a show next month, and that should be the last show, fingers crossed, that Sigma get to use my guys, because the likes of Tony McCall we haven't seen since he lost his belt, because Sigma's booked him. We have Edalberto, who's still to fight and defend his belt. He's lost at Sigma, even though he's unbeaten here, and he's one of my champions, which is really annoying. He lost to Mark Cohen, who I was initially going to book him against for the belt, but Sigma done it, and Mark Cohen beat him, so I can't really do that now. It needs to go to Yamada. It's just, it's a bit crazy. But let's move on anyway. I'm blabbing too much. It's title defense time. Right, here we go. It's title time again. This time it's Gorshin. I think I actually said, did I say Gorshin? I said someone was defending their belt later in the show, and I don't think I said it was Gorshin, but if I'm being honest, guys, I took a little break since I was last recording the start of the episode, and usually I don't do that. Usually I do it all in one sitting, per episode anyway, but I did, so I can't remember, if I'm being honest. Not that it doesn't really matter, but it's Gorshin, first defence, high level national. It's going to be on Eurosports cable, so like I said, if we take over 350, 400k, I'll be happy, to be honest. So, to everyone's surprise, well, I would say it was, he beat Go Yamamoto to win the belt, which was crazy. So his first defence is against Marazina, who's actually a featherweight, and he's one of the guys that we brought in. So even though he's not fighting at he's technically one of the best featherweights in the world, as well as lightweight. He's number 2 lightweight in the world, I believe. Gorshin's number 1. He's 7-0, 4-0 with us. After we brought him in from him doing European local shows. He's not. I wouldn't really say he's beaten anyone of real significance. I guess Batista's last fight's sort of the most notable, and he's probably going to be the underdog against Gorshin. So I think Gorshin's probably going to get a successful defense here, but we'll see. Kuroki, who to I would say everyone's surprised, he beat Martin on his last fight to hand him the first loss of his career, and now he's got Zacco to go through. Now Zacco's stayed unbeaten since returning from his suspension, so this is his first real test of his career against Kuroki. Even though Kuroki's older and not as good, he's still a hard fight. Same with like Mantis Andreev or Dan Halverson. They're not the easiest guys to beat, even though they're not as good. Then we got Malfi Robbie, who, if he beats Nigel Malley, he's probably going to be fighting Matthew Dean very soon for the belt too, because he's sitting 3rd in the rankings and 3rd middleweight in the world, so he'll go 6-0 if he wins this fight. We also got Karuba against Gagan. We're kind of hoping Gagan wins to get him back on winning ways. Both of these guys, I believe, are 2-2. Yeah. Then we got Joe Hinchcliffe, who lost for the first time in his career to Walter May last fight. We're trying to get him on winning ways again. He's against the Russian combat sambo fighter, 1-2. He's not very good, so hopefully, fingers crossed, Joe gets the win back on winning ways. We can boost him back up. Frank Analysis, another guy with a bit of a crazy record like Leon Banks and Per Inventor. It's just a bit all over the place. I don't know why, but I always think Frank Analysis is older, and every time I click on his profile and realise he's not, I always get surprised. I don't know why. Every single time. He's up against 30-year-old Rick, who's also 2-2, a bit of a scuffed record. It'll be an interesting fight. Not too worried. 2 wins, 2 loses. And then the rest of the card we don't really care about. Some of these guys will probably get cut once they lose. Maybe the only noticeable guy to mention is Desi, who is national caliber submission, but he's 1-2. He's not really started his career well. Although the 2 guys he's lost to are 2 very good wrestlers. Arguably, though, he's better than Robin, so the fact he lost that was a bit of a surprise, but we'll see how he does today. The other guys, I don't think these guys they've all fought before, like 1-1, 0-1, 2-2. So yeah, like I said, guys, there's no real point in mentioning them. But I'll be back when it's title time. Right, here we go, it's title time. We pretty much ran over this, Marazina. Originally featherweight, one of the guys we moved up to lightweight because we don't have featherweight division. He's 7-0, unbeaten, judo fighter, 25 years old. He's only the slight underdog going into this against Gorshin, who makes his first defence after winning, to my surprise, against Go Yamamoto, my boyfriend. But I like Gorshin a lot too, so I'm not too upset. He's also fighting with the Mantis Andreev fighting gym, whereas Marazina doesn't have any, so that could actually be a bit of a factor here. But let's go. Let's do this. Well, oh wow. That did not take long, huh? Just over 1 minute. What an emphatic way to initiate your first title defence. What a dominant start to the reign, you could say. After beating someone like Go Yamamoto, which arguably, let's be honest, him and Yamamoto will work his way back up for a rematch against Gorshin, so it's not like he's out of the fire against him. But what a way to win. To dismantle a guy at 7-0, he's not the worst either. People he's beat are not too bad, you know. Okay, never mind, I take it back, the pride rubbish. But still, good rated win for Gorshin. I honestly didn't. I thought he would win, even though he wasn't that much of a favourite. I did have him touted to win it, but I didn't think he would win it like that, to be honest. But as for our card, of course, Eurosports Cable, 75%. So we hit international. We only take the 2.2k in attendance, but I think our ads and subs should be higher because of our commercial value with the subscription, because more people are wanting to pay because there's more of a commercial widen draw. It makes more sense, but we'll see if it worked that way. So Gorshin makes first defence, Zako, on his hardest test yet. He beat Kuroki. Nigel Malley didn't have any upsets today. He lost, which he's now got back-to-back losses after losing his rematch to Mario. He's now lost to Malfi Robbie, who sits himself very, very good in the middleweight to fight Matthew Dean, which is almost sickening to think that you work up to fight for the belt, and you're fighting the best guy in the world, head and shoulders above everyone else. You've probably got no chance in the world of beating him. He's not even in his prime yet. He's like 21 years old. You're screwed. It's basically, if you literally were born 10 years younger or 10 years older, you would have been fine, but you're just not. How unlucky. But Gagan Bora also won. He's also joined the gym, Gagan Bora, and he's actually getting a lot better on his skills already, which is good. So maybe he can get a bit of consistency going. He beats Karuba. Joe Hinchcliffe, after losing to Walter May, back on winning ways. He wins. Frank Analysis, he beats the older competitor Rick Stanley. And then we had Alexis Sekizawa get another win. Porter Spradley actually beat Desi, the national caliber fighter. Desi's really close to getting cut, and he'll be the first. In fact, not national, sorry, what am I saying? He's world, right? No, he's national. Okay. National caliber. And then the rest, we don't really care too much. I think we did have 1 or 2 call-outs, I believe, but it wasn't actually any of the sort of top guys, if I'm being honest. That was already a call-out. Was it Bora? Gagan Bora it was. He won and called out Bolin, who I believe Lars Bolin's similar to Marazina, where he came up from featherweight too, but he's also unbeaten with like a crazy 6-0, 7-0 record. but he's also similar to Marazina, where he's not really fought anyone of real significance. So him against Gagan could be a good fight, but Gagan needs to improve his record a little bit, probably. Even though he's sitting 8th in lightweight in the world and he's in the top 10, he would still need to catch up unless Lars Boland lost, and then they could maybe fight Nuclear. But we'll definitely let that one brew until it's Nuclear, and then we'll have them fight. We won't book it anytime soon. So smaller increase in popularity because of the commercial. No, sorry, because of the broadcaster, sorry, Jesus. Okay. Quite a lot of greats on this. A lot of the fights we didn't really care about got great. Submission. We're going to give submission to Gagan Bora though. Convincing win for him. We will give knockout to... Yeah, give it to Sekizawa. No. Yeah, give knockout to Sekizawa, and we'll give fight of the night to the co-main, since that was probably the hardest, sort of most even matchup, and it's a very, very, very good win for Zako, to be honest. He's really impressed since coming back from his suspension, so fingers crossed. Like I say all the time, he doesn't get suspended again, because he's on a good roll now. He's got some good momentum behind him. Okay, perfect. Just even more money than I was expecting. But it also helps to the fact we didn't pay that much to fighters. 35k was actually really good. Gorshin takes the most, but he's also one of the guys on exclusive. I gave exclusives to all my champions, so he takes away 7k, and it's only going to get better for him with his 2.5% base pay increase per win. 355k on ads and subs. This is really good. 500,000 from one show at this level's really good. I'm hoping to get about 4 million and then open my own advertising company, probably, or I may do a pay-per-view, because there's not many good pay-per-view companies at this level in the UK. But as we know, the pay-per-views cost a lot of money to open up, but we'll see. It's just all about money. I need money. But until next time, we'll probably do one more show and then dedicate one show just to GFC 50 and run through all the cards. Not play by play, obviously, but run through a bit more detail. But until then, I'll see you guys for the next 3 shows, which I believe next episode is the Heavyweight Championship. Tony McCall against Hassan Fezzik is on the line.